Je transmets donc maintenant la parole à Monsieur Capralos pour introduire notre...
Merci, Madame Présidente, ministre du Sport français, mon cher Roxana, Madame la Commissaire, Maria Gabriel, chers ministres, chers représentants des membres, je tiens à remercier la Présidence française pour l'invitation de prendre part dans ce débat du modèle européen de sport. Mais permettez-moi de continuer en anglais. Before I begin, please allow me to pay tribute to all the victims of the war in Ukraine. The invasion of Ukraine by the Russian army has shocked all of us. We feel with all the innocent victims of this war. The situation has, at the same time, strengthened the Olympic movement's commitment to our values of peace, solidarity, and non-discrimination in sport for whatever reason, even further. In response to the continued humanitarian crisis unfolding in Ukraine, the European Olympic Committee is doing its utmost to support the country's sport community. And I'm proud to share with you that 25 Ukrainian athletes were able to participate at the European Youth Olympic Festival in Finland 2 weeks ago. To make this possible, the European Olympic Committee has cooperated with multiple European national Olympic committees, notably Poland, Finland, Estonia, Austria, and Italy, and Romania, providing equipment, transport, accommodation, and other logistical support. Together with the International Olympic Committee and the European Olympic family, we will continue to show unity and solidarity with the people of Ukraine. These are key values of European society and ones that are also pertinent to today's discussion of the European sport model. Without this model, sport in Europe would not survive. Yet, we are seeing more and more examples of it coming under threat. Perhaps the most high-profile example of recent times was the attempt to launch a European Super League in football. This endeavour made global headlines last year, thankfully all for the wrong reasons. It was a case that exposed a growing trend of organisations placing commercial interests over the traditional values of European sport. We cannot escape the fact that sport is in a fragile financial state, and it is no secret that investment is needed. However, it is critical that all investment, whether private or public, considers the sustainable growth of European sport, a growth that respects the need for greater solidarity within and among societies, the urgency of achieving sustainable development with climate action being at a tipping point, and the interdependency between healthy people and a healthy planet being unmistakable. A growth that adapts various existing tools and resources to support different fields such as gender equality, mental and physical health, competition integrity and career transition. The European Union has been a key proponent of this long-term view, and the Olympic movement is greatly appreciative of all initiatives and discussions in favour of the European sport model at EU level. Most recently, under the Slovenian presidency, sport ministers of EU member states adopted a resolution on the European sport model. Additionally, the European Parliament backed the model in the Frankowski report, and currently we are awaiting the outcome of a study by the European Commission. Finally, we are very grateful for recent meetings with European Commission Vice President Margaritis Chinas, who kindly addressed our Executive Committee meetings last month, and Commissioner Maria Gabriel, who has accepted gladly to be part of and a guest speaker for the European Evening of Sport, June 21st in Brussels. However, in spite of all these excellent activities, there is still some misunderstanding in the sports movement on certain aspects of the model. I would like to take the opportunity to provide further clarity on our position and reiterate why it is so critical for the future of European sport. First of all, the European sport model is central to upholding the governing role of sport federations. It gives federations flexibility on how to organise their sport. We must remember there are important differences between sports, and a one-size-fits-all approach would not be appropriate. This flexibility is sometimes perceived as a deviation from our model. Let me be clear. The purpose of the model is not to ensure all sports are organised in the same way. Rather, the model seeks to ensure sport in Europe is organised on the basis of common values such as solidarity, openness, non-discrimination, fair play and tolerance. Furthermore, it aims to promote the roles and responsibilities of sports federations. And finally, it creates consistency in the application of rules and regulations to stakeholders. Please allow me to be crystal clear on this point. If commercially driven organizations accept all of the existing rules set out by federations, then they should be welcomed as part of the sport calendar. However, the organisation of the sport calendar must be the responsibility of the federation. Federations are best placed to ensure events do not overlap and to enable elite athletes play for their clubs and national teams without clashes. Federations should engage all stakeholders to achieve this goal. But commercially driven organizations must respect the calendar set out of the sports federations. Otherwise, we will never have a level playing field. We can see this in basketball, with a long-standing dispute between FIBA and EuroLeague. EuroLeague clubs do not release players for their national teams, clearly putting certain nations at a disadvantage. It is essential that commercially driven organizations act in the best interests of sport, but we must not forget that the same principle must also be applied to federations. Indeed, the highest good governance standards must be met, with all the decisions proportionate, free of discrimination and compliant with national and EU laws. It is true that in the past, the misbehaviour of individuals has tarnished the reputation of sport organizations. To prevent this history from repeating itself, the Olympic movement has continuously working on improving its structures, policies, processes and programmes to enhance integrity in competitions and its own operations. Recent action from the IOC has shown that federations which do not meet these standards are not tolerated. Thankfully, the vast majority of federations do meet these standards. However, to effectively govern and lead their sport, it is obvious that federations need money to spend. The importance of solidarity schemes, particularly for smaller sports, in this regard should not be underestimated. The solidarity mechanism in European sport is one that is frequently overlooked. One reason for this is that public perception of sport is often shaped by the image of professional leagues or competition in team sports. Take the UEFA Champions League as an example. This is a competition that attracts significant commercial revenue to reinvest in sport. For other sports and for other federations, the reality is very different. A large number of Olympic sports would not be able to organise competitions or educate athletes, coaches, referees and officials without the revenues coming from the IOC. So without the IOC redistributing 90% of its revenues to the Olympic movement, the activities of federations would be severely restricted or worse, cease to exist. Unfortunately, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we experienced the economic and social impact of sporting activities ceasing to exist. Thankfully, sport has largely resumed at all levels and we are slowly returning to normality. However, Europe's COVID-19 recovery journey is far from over and has never been more important to promote the importance of the European model of sport. Research indicates that people will place more emphasis on their health in the post-pandemic world. So as to build towards a healthier and more active society, we must create an environment that allows everyone to thrive. This means ensuring professionalism and meritocracy in elite-level sport, and inspiration and accessibility for the grassroots level. Ultimately, athletes are the beating heart of sport and must be protected and provided with a safe environment to practice, develop and compete. What's more, their voices need to be properly factored into the decision-making of sport organizations and governments. In this regard, I would kindly request that you invite representatives of the EOC and IOC Athletes Commission to one of your meetings. Maintaining a regular dialogue with all stakeholders is essential to protecting and enhancing our continent's sporting future. To all Member States representatives and to the European Commission, I want to thank you for your time. We, that includes public authorities, sport organizations and also the commercial sector, must collaborate to find solutions for the sake of sport, the athletes and society at large. And we must stay focused on delivering on the concrete actions that will shape the future. With the European Games in 2023 in Poland and with the next two editions of the Olympic Games coming back to Europe, Paris 2024 and Milano Cortina 2026, now is the time to show the world that we can offer the sport world a better future. Please help us keep the unique European sport model alive, and let's work together to improve it and make it more resilient for the years to come. Thank you very much.
Merci Spyros. Je passe maintenant la parole à la commissaire Gabriel, à la Commission.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente, chère Roxana, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, cher Spyros. Comme vous l'avez dit, après la pandémie, nous vivons un nouveau choc avec l'agression et l'invasion de l'Ukraine par la Russie. Et je vais aussi au début prendre 2 minutes de mon intervention pour intervenir. J'ai été touchée de constater les efforts de nombreux athlètes de toutes nationalités, de nombreuses organisations sportives nationales, européennes, internationales, qui, par leurs actions rapides, se sont engagés courageusement pour promouvoir la paix et les valeurs universelles du sport. Et dans ce contexte, je voudrais aussi remercier le ministre polonais d'avoir évoqué ce point divers et de présenter des suggestions concrètes pour soutenir les athlètes ukrainiens. La Commission est engagée pour le dialogue afin de mieux comprendre quelles sont les conséquences auxquelles les États membres sont confrontés et à quels besoins les fédérations, les clubs et bien sûr les athlètes doivent faire face. Et notre débat d'aujourd'hui, il est profondément lié aux événements tragiques qui se déroulent à nos frontières parce qu'il rappelle à quel point il est essentiel, il est fondamental de défendre et de préserver nos valeurs européennes de solidarité, paix, démocratie, liberté. Le sport européen joue un rôle important pour l'unité, la promotion de la paix et les droits de l'homme dans nos sociétés. Parce que grâce au sport et à ses principes de respect, de fair play, les citoyens se rassemblent, unis dans toute leur diversité. Et ces valeurs se reflètent également à travers nos programmes. Tout d'abord, évidemment, dans le cadre du programme Erasmus+, la Commission a identifié comme priorité de soutenir, à travers le sport, la participation à la vie démocratique grâce à l'engagement civique afin de préserver nos valeurs communes et notre mode de vie européen. En 2021, nous avons soutenu une vingtaine de projets qui poursuivent ces objectifs. Exemple aussi, pour la région des Balkans occidentaux, nous avons mis à disposition 1 million d'euros pour des projets qui visent à promouvoir la coopération régionale et les opportunités de réconciliation par le sport dans ces territoires aussi qui ont connu des conflits tragiques. La Commission défend un modèle européen du sport basé sur des valeurs d'intégrité et d'inclusion. Ces grands principes sont l'autonomie, l'ouverture, le mérite, la solidarité entre les sports dits de masse, populaires et d'élite. L'interdépendance entre les fédérations sportives y est aussi primordiale. Et pour contribuer efficacement au débat, la Commission a lancé en 2021 une étude sur le modèle sportif européen. Cette étude a pour objectif d'analyser les valeurs communes, les sources de financement, les mécanismes de solidarité et les risques et les défis futurs. Nous en avons déjà partagé les premiers résultats et nous distribuerons le rapport final dans le courant de ce mois-ci. À ce sujet, je tiens à noter que certains aspects essentiels du modèle sportif européen ont été contestés ou encore mis en difficulté ces dernières années, particulièrement avec la commercialisation de plus en plus importante du sport d'élite. Le marché européen du sport connaît un grand succès dans le monde. Nous en sommes très fiers. Et de nombreux acteurs financiers, investisseurs étrangers ont investi dans notre sport européen. Toutefois, les implications qui en résultent ne sont pas toujours positives, car ces tendances d'investissement peuvent notamment pousser vers des modèles de ligue ou de championnat fermés où les enjeux commerciaux dépassent les valeurs essentielles du sport, à commencer par le mérite et l'équité. Ici, sachez que notre vigilance est réelle et le sera tout au long de si quelque chose se présente. Enfin, pour finir, je voudrais aussi rappeler que la Commission a récemment adopté un accord de coopération avec les comités olympiques européens. Il s'agit avant tout de promouvoir ensemble les valeurs olympiques et européennes communes. Il prévoit aussi de renforcer la coopération dans les domaines présentant un intérêt à long terme pour le sport en Europe, tels que la durabilité, nous venons d'adopter des conclusions, l'inclusion et surtout la promotion des principes clés et des valeurs fondamentales du modèle européen du sport. On compte sur vous, cher Spyros, évidemment, je compte sur tous les États membres Maintenant, je voudrais m'arrêter ici en disant merci et c'est avec grande attention que j'attends vos interventions.
Merci Maria. Chers collègues, je souhaite